The massive ship hung in the night sky like a second moon. Its metal surface reflected the sunlight, making it visible to everyone on Earth. People stood in streets and on rooftops, staring up at the alien vessel that had appeared 3 days ago. No one knew what the aliens wanted or why they had come. Inside the ship, Queen Zarlia of the Valkorian people stood at the viewing window looking down at the blue planet. Her tall purple body covered in ceremonial armor gleamed under the soft lights of the command center. She had 4 arms and her skin had a slight shimmer to it. Her large golden eyes blinked slowly as she considered her next move. "We have studied them for 20 cycles. Yet they still surprise me," she said to her commander Zex, who stood beside her. Zex nodded, his head crest rising slightly. "They are primitive but resourceful, Your Highness. Their weapons cannot harm our ships, but their adaptability makes them unpredictable." Zarlia turned away from the window. "Our homeworld dies. We need this planet, or at least part of it. The humans must make room for us." The invasion began the next day. Valkorian ships descended on major cities across Earth. They used stun weapons that knocked humans unconscious rather than killing them. The alien warriors stood 8 feet tall with armor that human bullets could not penetrate. Earth armies fought back, but their weapons did little damage. In a small military base in Nevada, Sergeant Katie Jones watched the alien ships fly overhead. She had joined the army 5 years ago after college. Never did she imagine she would face an alien invasion. The base alarm sounded and she ran to her position. "Aliens have breached the west gate," shouted her commander. "Take defensive positions." Katie grabbed her rifle and moved to the wall. She saw the aliens marching toward them. Their armor shone in the sun and they moved with perfect coordination. She fired her weapon, but the bullets bounced off their shields. The aliens raised their strange guns and fired back. The energy blast hit the wall beside her. The concrete crumbled. "Fall back," called the commander. "They are too strong." The base fell within an hour. Katie found herself rounded up with other survivors. The aliens herded them into transport ships. She noticed they were careful not to hurt anyone. They seemed to want prisoners, not corpses. The alien ship was cold and the air smelled like metal and something sweet. Katie sat with 50 other soldiers in a large holding cell. The walls glowed with a faint blue light. No obvious doors or windows existed, just smooth metal surfaces. A section of wall suddenly slid open and 3 aliens entered. They scanned the room with devices that looked like small tablets. One pointed at Katie and made clicking sounds to the others. They approached her and motioned for her to stand. Katie stood slowly, her heart pounding. "What do you want?" she asked. One alien held up a device that glowed when it spoke. "We require your assistance. Follow. Having little choice." Katie followed them through corridors that curved and twisted. They passed rooms filled with strange equipment and other aliens who stopped to stare at her. Finally, they reached a large door decorated with symbols she could not read. The door opened to reveal a nursery filled with crying babies. Katie blinked in surprise. At least 20 alien infants lay in pods that floated above the floor. Each baby cried loudly, their purple skin flushed dark with effort. Their tiny 4 arms waved in distress. Several adult aliens moved between the pods trying to comfort the babies, but nothing worked. The alien with the translator turned to her. "Our young will not stop crying. Our medical experts find no illness, yet they will not eat, will not sleep. Their distress grows worse each day. Your file says you worked in human childcare. Can you help?" Katie stared in disbelief. They had invaded Earth and now wanted her help with their babies. She almost laughed at the absurdity, but looking at the distressed infants, she felt her resolve soften. "Babies were babies, even alien ones I can try," she said. "What have you tried so far?" The aliens explained their usual care methods. The babies normally slept in special fluid pods and were fed a diet of mineral-rich liquids. They rarely cried and developed quickly. As Katie listened, she noticed something about the room. "The lights are very bright in here," she said, "and there is a constant humming noise. Have you always kept nurseries like this, Alien explained that on their ships everything was brighter and louder than on their home planet. They had adjusted, but perhaps the babies had not. Katie suggested dimming the lights and reducing the mechanical sounds in the room the aliens made. The changes, and immediately the crying lessened. She then showed them how to swaddle the babies tightly in soft blankets, mimicking the secure feeling of the fluid pods. The alien babies responded well, their crying reduced to soft whimpers. Katie showed the caretakers how to rock the babies and hum low, consistent tones. The first baby fell asleep within minutes. The aliens watched in amazement. Word of the human who could soothe babies spread quickly through the ship. Within days, Katie found herself the unofficial advisor to the alien nursery staff. She learned their language and they taught her about their culture. She discovered that the Valkorians came from a dying world. Their sun was expanding and would soon engulf their planet. They had searched the galaxy for a new home. The invasion of Earth was not intended as conquest, but as survival. The Valkorians needed a place for their people. They had chosen Earth because it was most similar to their home planet. They had hoped to negotiate, but feared humans would never share their world. Katie worked with the babies. She began to see the aliens as people, not monsters. They cared deeply for their children. They had art and music. They mourned their dying world. Perhaps there was a way. Humans and Valkorians could both live on Earth. She just needed to convince both sides to talk. 2 weeks after Katie began working in the nursery, she was summoned to meet Queen Zarlia. The guards led her through grand hallways, decorated with glowing symbols and strange plants that seemed to move when no one watched them. The throne room doors towered 20 feet high, made of a metal that shifted colors like oil on water. The queen sat on a floating throne, her forearms arranged in a formal position, her golden eyes fixed on Katie as she entered. 2 small children played at her feet. They looked up as Katie approached, their tiny faces breaking into smiles. They recognized the human who had helped in the nursery. "You have done what our best minds could not," the queen said, her voice translator making her words sound musical. "The children thrive because of your knowledge." Katie bowed her head, slightly unsure of the proper protocol. "I only shared basic human childcare techniques. Your children respond much like human babies do." The queen leaned forward. "That is what interests me. The similarities between our species. We chose Earth because your world resembles our dying home, but we did not expect our children would respond so well to your methods. It suggests we are more alike than different." Katie saw an opportunity. "I believe our peoples could learn from each other." "Your Highness, the invasion has caused fear and anger among humans, but perhaps there are alternatives to conquest." The queen's eyes narrowed. "Alternatives. We need land, water, resources. Our people number in the billions. We cannot all fit on your ships forever. There are places on Earth that humans do not heavily use." Katie suggested deserts, remote islands, underground habitats. "We have technology for creating living spaces in harsh environments. With your advanced science, we could develop even better solutions." Queen Zarlia considered this. "You speak of cooperation, not surrender. That is unexpected. Most captured humans only shout threats or cower in fear." Katie straightened her shoulders. "Humans are adaptable, Your Highness. We can overcome our fear when given reason to. We have a saying on Earth that there is strength in diversity." The queen was silent for a long moment. Then she stood up, causing her guards to snap to attention. "I wish to speak with human leaders," she announced. "You will help arrange this." Katie felt a mix of hope and panic. "I am only a sergeant, Your Highness. I don't have authority." To the queen raised a hand, stopping her. "Our intelligence shows your military structure. We know your rank, but you have something more valuable than authority. You have understanding. You bridge our worlds. Already the nursery staff consider you a friend. This is what we need." The next day, Katie found herself in a communication room. A large screen showed the United Nations Emergency Council. The world leaders looked stressed and suspicious as Queen Zarlia appeared on their screens. Katie stood beside the queen, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. The queen spoke clearly. "We came to your world because ours is dying. We believed conquest was our only option. But your Sergeant Katie Jones has shown us another path. She has cared for our children and learned our ways. She suggests cooperation instead of conflict. I am willing to discuss terms. The UN Secretary. General leaned forward. We have reports of your weapons and ships destroying our cities. How can we trust this sudden desire for peace? Katie spoke up with the Queen's permission. The Valkorians used stun weapons, not death rays. They have taken care to minimize human casualties. Their goal was never extermination but finding a new home. They are refugees, not conquerors. Over the next hours, Katie helped translate not just words but cultural meanings between the two sides. Queen Zarlia explained the Valkorian situation in detail. Their planet had less than 5 years before becoming uninhabitable. They had searched for an unpopulated world, but found none suitable for their biology. Earth was their last hope. The human leaders were skeptical, but curious, especially when the Queen offered to share advanced technology as part of any agreement. Medical science that could cure many human diseases. Energy systems that would end pollution transportation. Methods that would revolutionize travel by. At the end of the day, a preliminary agreement was reached. A joint human-Valkorian team would identify possible settlement locations. Teams of scientists from both species would work together to find solutions. The Queen agreed to withdraw ships from major cities as a show of good faith. As the meeting ended, the Queen turned to Katie. You have given both our peoples hope. This is just the beginning, but it is a good beginning. Katie returned to the nursery where she found something unexpected. Alien caretakers had created a small living space for her. A bedclothes food. A place where she could stay comfortably. One of the head nurses approached her. We wish you to continue helping us, she said. The children ask for you when you are gone, especially the royal twins. They call you Ka, which means teacher. In our language, Katie felt tears in her eyes. I would be honored to stay. Over the next month, Katie became the bridge between humans and Valkorians. More humans were brought to the ships, not as prisoners but as consultants. Engineers, botanists, architects, climate scientists. All worked to find ways the two species could coexist. Ellie Parker, a geologist, suggested the massive Australian outback as a potential settlement area with Valkorian technology to manage water resources. It could support millions while minimally impacting human populations. Marie Fletcher, a marine biologist, proposed floating cities in the Pacific Ocean. The Valkorians had materials that could withstand any storm. First test settlement was built in the Nevada desert not far from where Katie had been captured. 100 Valkorian families moved into dome structures that regulated temperature and humidity. Humans from nearby towns came to meet their new neighbors. Cautious at first but growing more comfortable, Katie split her time between the ship nursery and the settlement, helping both sides understand each other. She taught the Valkorians about human customs, holidays, foods. She explained to humans the Valkorian family structure, their art, their beliefs. The Queen's twins became attached to Katie, following her everywhere, asking endless questions about Earth. They taught her their language and laughed at her pronunciation. They showed her how to play Valkorian, games with glowing balls that responded to thought. One evening, as Katie sat with the twins watching the sunset over the desert, she realized something important was happening. The children did not see her as an alien or enemy. They saw her as friend, teacher, family. The future would be built by these children, human and Valkorian, growing up together, learning from each other. 6 months after the first contact, the relationship between humans and Valkorians faced its first major crisis. A group of human extremists attacked the Nevada settlement. They used explosives to damage the protective domes and fired weapons at Valkorian families. 3 Valkorians died, including a child queen. Zarlia was furious. Her generals demanded retaliation. They wanted to use their superior weapons to destroy the human terrorists and anyone who supported them. The fragile peace hung by a thread. Katie stood in the emergency council meeting, watching the Queen pace with all 4 fists clenched. The human representatives looked terrified. They killed a child, the Queen said, her voice cold with rage. Your people promised safety. Nancy Roberts, the U.S. president, spoke carefully. The attackers do not represent humanity. Your Highness, they are criminals. We have arrested many already and are hunting the rest. They will face justice. The Queen's eyes flashed. Justice. Your justice is weak. Your prisons are comfortable. Your punishments temporary. Death should answer. Death. Katie stepped forward, speaking directly to the Queen. Remember, Leni, she said, referring to the royal twins' favorite nursery teacher, the one who taught them that violence begins cycles that never end. The Queen turned to Katie, her expression softening slightly. You use my people's wisdom against me, not against you, Katie said. With you, the attackers want exactly what your generals want. Violence, hatred. They fear difference. They fear change. They want war. If you retaliate, you give them victory. The room fell silent. The Queen looked at the human representatives, then back to Katie. Finally, she spoke. How would your people handle this? The President explained the justice system, the investigation, the trial, the punishment for murder. Especially of a child, the penalties would be severe. The Valkorian culture demanded more personal involvement. The Queen requested that Valkorian representatives be part of the investigation and trial, that they be allowed to speak for the victims. A compromise was reached. As they left the meeting, the Queen pulled Katie aside. You speak with the voice of a leader, not a soldier, she said. You should represent your people in our discussion. Katie shook her head. I am just a sergeant who knows about babies, Your Highness. There are diplomats and politicians better suited. The Queen made a sound like quiet laughter. Diplomats speak pretty words. Leaders speak truth. You saw what others missed. You saw our children not as aliens but as children needing help. You saw our people not as invaders but as refugees. You see with clear eyes that is rare in any species. 2 days later, Katie received new orders. She was officially assigned as human liaison to the Valkorian royal family. A promotion came with it, though rank seemed less important now than the trust placed in her. The crisis had an unexpected effect. Public support for the Valkorian settlements grew. Humans were outraged by the attack, especially the death of a child. Donations poured in to help rebuild the damaged domes. Volunteers came to assist. Schools arranged cultural exchange programs. Human children and Valkorian children began to learn together. Katie worked with both military and civilian leaders to improve security around all settlements. New systems combined human strategy with Valkorian technology, creating defenses that were both strong and invisible. The Queen began to relax again, trusting that most humans wanted peace. 1 year after first contact, the first human Valkorian school opened in the Nevada settlement. Human teacher Olivia Scott worked alongside Valkorian educator Zinn to create a curriculum that taught both cultures. The royal twins attended along. With 20 human children and 15 Valkorian children, Katie visited the school, often amazed at how quickly the children adapted to each other. Human children learned the clicking Valkorian language. Valkorian children mastered English and Spanish. They played games from both worlds. They celebrated holidays from both calendars. The school became a model for integration. Other settlements developed similar programs. Adults began to join learning sessions, eager to understand their new neighbors. Businesses formed with human and Valkorian partners, combining technologies and ideas. 2 years passed. The Valkorian homeworld situation grew worse. The sun expanded faster than predicted. The remaining population needed evacuation sooner than planned. Earth governments agreed to accept more Valkorian settlers, but space remained limited. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Leah Mitchell, a 14-year-old human student at the integrated school. She had been studying both Earth geology and Valkorian environmental science. Her science project proposed something revolutionary. The Valkorians have technology to create habitable domes, she explained to a room of scientists and leaders. We use it on desert land. But what about under the ocean's Earths? Oceans cover 70% of the surface, but humans use less than 1%. The ocean floor could support millions of Valkorian domes without disturbing human cities. The idea sparked immediate interest. Valkorian engineers confirmed their materials could withstand deep ocean pressures. Their energy systems could function underwater. Their plants could grow in artificial light. The ocean settlements would be entirely self-contained, causing no pollution or disruption to marine. Life Queen Zarlia was impressed by the human girl. She invited Leah to the royal ship to present her idea to the Valkorian Science Council. The girl stood tall, despite being surrounded by alien adults many twice her size. I calculated that underwater settlements could house your entire population, she told them, with room to grow for generations. And the best part is that humans and Valkorians could both access these cities, creating a truly shared world. The queen looked at Katie, who stood nearby. Did you help her develop this plan? Katie shook her head, smiling with pride. This is all Leah. She grew up in a world where humans and Valkorians live together. She doesn't see boundaries the way we do. Construction of the first underwater settlement began off the coast of Australia. A massive dome city designed to house 50,000 Valkorians. Human and Valkorian engineers worked side by side. Robotic construction units moved along the ocean floor. Laying foundations, Katie toured the construction site in a specialized submarine. The scale of the project took her breath away. The main dome would stand 500 feet high with smaller domes connected by transparent tunnels. Artificial light would simulate the Valkorian home sun plants from both worlds would grow in special chambers. The city would be entirely self-sufficient. As she watched the construction, Katie thought about how much had changed in just 2 years. From invasion to cooperation, from fear to friendship. The path had not been easy. There had been setbacks, violence, misunderstandings, but each time humans and Valkorians had found a way forward together. The royal twins, now 7 years old by Earth measurement, accompanied Katie on many of her duties. They had appointed themselves unofficial ambassadors, speaking at human schools, explaining Valkorian culture, answering endless questions. They called Katie Aunt, a title of honor in Valkorian culture. You will live with us in the underwater city, one twin asked as they returned from the construction site tour. Katie smiled. I might visit, but my work keeps me traveling between all the settlements. The other twin looked disappointed. But you are family. You should stay with family. Katie thought the word had new, meaning now her family had expanded to include people from another world. People with purple skin, forearms, and different biology. But family nonetheless. That night, Queen Zarlia invited Katie to a private dinner. The twins were there along with several royal advisors. The meal included both human and Valkorian dishes. The conversation flowed easily. Switching between English and the Valkorian language, the queen raised a glass in toast. To new beginnings, she said, and to the human who showed us a better way. 5 years after first contact, Earth had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The first underwater Valkorian city, named New Valkoria, housed over 100,000 people. Most were Valkorians, but nearly 10,000 humans had moved. There as well, scientists, doctors, engineers, teachers, artists, all came to be part of this new world. Similar cities rose from the ocean floor near every continent, each with its own character and focus. Some specialized in research, others in agriculture, still others in art and culture. The ocean cities became tourist destinations for humans eager to experience Valkorian culture. On land, mixed settlements flourished in previously uninhabited areas. The Nevada settlement where it all began had grown into a proper city, its distinctive purple and white domes visible for miles. The desert bloomed around it thanks to Valkorian water management technology. Katie now held the rank of colonel, though her duties had little to do with traditional military work. She led the Human Valkorian Integration Office, overseeing cultural, educational, and scientific exchanges. She traveled constantly between settlements, solving problems, mediating disputes, celebrating milestones. The royal twins had grown into teenagers. They studied at universities on both human and Valkorian campuses. They spoke at international events, becoming the face of successful integration. Their friendship with Katie remained strong. They still called her aunt and visited her whenever possible. Queen Zarlia had changed too. Gone was the stern warrior queen who led the invasion. In her place stood a diplomatic leader focused on building a shared future. She had learned human languages, abandoned her battle armor for more casual attire, and even developed a taste for human music and art. On the 5th anniversary of First Contact, a grand celebration was planned in New Valcoria. Representatives from all Earth nations and all Valcorian clans would attend. The underwater city gleamed with decorations. Lights in the colors of both worlds hung from buildings. Plants and flowers from both planets lined the walkways. Katie arrived early, helping with final preparations. She wore a formal uniform modified with Valcorian symbols of friendship. The central dome had been transformed into a massive gathering space with stages for performances, seating areas and display screens showing images from 5 years of cooperation. As guests arrived, Katie greeted many by name human diplomats in formal, where Valcorian clan leaders in ceremonial robes, scientists who had developed new technologies, teachers who had created integrated curricula, children from mixed schools performing songs in both languages. The royal twins found her surrounded by a group of human officials. They pulled her away laughing. "We need to steal our aunt for official business," they said. The officials smiled and stepped back, knowing the close relationship between Katie and the royal family. The twins led Katie to a quiet area. The older twin looked nervous. "Mother wishes to speak with you before the ceremony." It's important. Queen Zarlia waited in a private chamber. Her formal robes shimmered with embedded lights that shifted between earth blue and Valcorian purple. She dismissed her attendants when Katie entered. "My friend," she said, using the human term rather than the more formal Valcorian title. "5 years ago you showed us a path to peace. Today we celebrate what our peoples have built together. But I must ask one more service of you." Katie nodded. "Of course, Your Highness, what do you need?" The Queen gestured to a display screen. It showed the Valcorian homeworld, now almost completely engulfed by its expanding sun. "Our evacuation is nearly complete, only the final group remains. But we face a new problem." She touched the screen and the image changed to show a star map. "Our long-range sensors have detected another species approaching Earth space. They are called the Dracorians, ancient enemies of our people. They followed our evacuation ships. They seek to destroy us, and now they threaten Earth as well." Katie felt cold fear in her stomach. "How much time do we have?" 3 of your Earth months at most," the Queen said. "They have weapons that rival our own. Their numbers are fewer, but their hatred is strong. They believe the universe has room for only one advanced species." "What do you need from me?" Katie asked. The Queen looked at her with serious eyes. "I need you to help unite our peoples for war. Not just cooperation, but true alliance. Humans and Valcorians fighting as one. The Dracorians will see Earth as infected by our presence. They will not distinguish between our peoples. They will destroy all." The anniversary celebration suddenly seemed hollow to Katie. How could she tell people preparing to celebrate peace that war was coming? Instead of 5 years of achievement, they would now face a threat to both species' survival. The Queen sensed her distress. "This is why we value humans so highly," she said. "Your adaptability, your creativity. In 5 years, your people went from fearing us as invaders to accepting us as neighbors. Some even consider us family. The Dracorians have never changed in 1,000 years. They cannot imagine cooperation. Only conquest. Together we are stronger than either species alone." The Queen continued. "Our technology, your strategy, our numbers, your resourcefulness, we can defend this world, but only if we stand as one." Katie straightened her shoulders. "I will help, however I can, Your Highness. But we should not cancel the celebration. Today we should remember what we have accomplished. It will strengthen our resolve for what comes next." The Queen agreed. They rejoined the gathering just as the ceremony began. The massive screens showed images from the first days of contact, the initial fear, the first settlements, the growing cooperation, the underwater cities, the scientific breakthroughs, the cultural exchanges. The royal twins gave a speech together, alternating between English and the Valcorian language. They spoke of growing up in two worlds, learning from both, inheriting the strengths of both. They thanked the teachers from both species who had guided them. They promised to honor the legacy of peace and cooperation. As they finished, the Queen rose to speak. She began by thanking Earth for accepting her people. Then her tone changed, becoming more serious. "We have achieved much together," she said. "But our journey is not complete. New challenges approach, challenges that threaten both our peoples. I have seen humans face difficulty with courage and creativity. I have watched you overcome obstacles with determination and hope. These qualities will soon be needed more than ever." A murmur ran through. The crowd. Human officials exchanged concerned glances. Valkorian clan leaders straightened in their seats, recognizing the Queen's warrior tone. "I do not speak of these challenges today," the Queen continued. "This is a day for celebration. But know this: Valkorians stand ready to defend our new shared home as fiercely as we sought it. We will protect Earth and all who live here, human and Valkorian alike. This I swear." The crowd applauded. Though many looked confused, Katie saw the human president lean toward an aide, whispering questions. The celebration continued, but an undercurrent of tension now ran beneath the festivities. Later that evening, Katie met with human military and government leaders. The Queen shared the intelligence about the approaching Dracorians. To their credit, the human leaders asked practical questions rather than expressing doubt or panic. How much time did they have? What were Dracorian weaknesses? What defenses could be prepared? "We faced alien contact once and found friendship," said President Roberts. "We can face this new contact together with our Valkorian allies." Plans formed quickly. Joint defense forces would combine human and Valkorian soldiers. Earth weapons would be enhanced with Valkorian technology. The underwater cities would serve as evacuation centers with their self-contained environments. The Nevada settlement, with its desert location, would become a training base for the combined forces. As the meeting ended, Katie found herself standing with the Queen, looking out at the underwater city lights. "When we came to Earth, we thought only of our survival," the Queen said. "Now we fight for something more. We fight for a shared world, a shared future." Katie nodded, feeling the weight of what was to come. Human history was filled with stories of unlikely allies coming together against common threats. Now that history would include people from another world, the coming months would test both species. But looking at what they had built together in 5 years, Katie felt a spark of hope. They had overcome fear and hatred to build friendship and cooperation. Perhaps they could overcome this new threat as well. The Queen placed a hand on Katie's shoulder. "I am glad you stopped our baby from crying that first day," she said with a small smile. "Otherwise, we might never have known how remarkable humans are." The Dracorian fleet arrived earlier than expected, only 2 months after the anniversary celebration. Their ships, dark and angular, appeared suddenly at the edge of the solar system. They moved quickly past the outer planets, heading directly toward Earth, their weapons charged, their intentions clear. The United Human and Valkorian Defense Force mobilized orbital platforms armed with combined technology, formed the first line of defense ships, crewed by both species, patrolled the space around. Earth on the ground, civilians moved to shelters, including the underwater cities designed to withstand almost any attack. Colonel Katie Jones stood in the combined command center beneath the Nevada desert. Human and Valkorian officers worked side by side, monitoring screens tracking the approaching enemy. Large displays showed the Dracorian fleet now passing Mars. Outer defenses had engaged but caused minimal damage. "This is not a battle we can win through strength alone," Katie told the assembled commanders. "The Dracorians outnumber our ships. Their weapons are designed specifically to counter Valkorian defenses. We need to think differently." The Valkorian general clicked his mandibles in agreement. "The Dracorians expect us to fight as Valkorians. But we are not just Valkorians now. We are something new." For 3 days, the battle raged in space. Dracorian ships pushed forward, destroying the outer defenses. Human Valkorian ships fought bravely, but were forced to retreat closer to Earth. Each loss felt personal to Katie. She had come to know many of the crews during training. Now they were giving their lives to protect their shared home. As the enemy approached Earth itself, Queen Zarlia joined the command center, her armor gleaming, her expression grim. The twins came with her, now old enough to serve as royal advisors. They had refused evacuation, insisting on staying with the defense forces. The Queen studied the tactical displays. The Dracorians follow their traditional attack pattern, she observed. They focus on strength, overwhelming force. They expect the same from us. What if we showed them something unexpected? Katie suggested. She turned to Susan Franklin, the human admiral who had been developing alternative tactics. Franklin nodded and brought up a new display. Our combined science teams have been working on a modification to the Valkorian phase technology. She explained the Dracorians are familiar with Valkorian ships and expect them to be visible on sensors. But we've found a way to hide our presence by shifting partially out of phase, not just visually, but on all detection spectrums. The plan was audacious. Small strike teams would use the phase technology to board Dracorian ships. They would target key systems especially. The central communication nodes Dracorian vessels operated on a hierarchical network. If they could disrupt the command structure, the fleet would fall into chaos. The Queen approved the plan. Teams were assembled, each with human and Valkorian members. Humans provided creativity and adaptability in the close quarters of enemy ships. Valkorians contributed strength and knowledge of Dracorian systems. The royal twins insisted on joining, despite their mother's objections. We were raised to build bridges between our peoples, they argued. This mission requires both human and Valkorian thinking. Who better than us? Katie was assigned to lead the strike team targeting the Dracorian command ship, the largest and most heavily defended vessel in the enemy fleet. She would be accompanied by the twins and 6 other team members, 4 humans and 2 Valkorians. Their ship, small and agile, had been modified with the new phase technology, making it virtually undetectable. As they prepared to depart, Katie felt a mix of fear and determination. The twins checked their equipment with practiced efficiency. No longer children, they moved with the confidence of trained warriors, though they had never seen actual combat. The mission begins with stealth and ends with disruption, Katie reminded her team. We enter undetected, disable their communications, and escape before they realize what happened. If we succeed, the other teams will have their openings to strike. Their ship slipped past the Dracorian fleet outer defenses without triggering alarms. The phase technology worked perfectly. As they approached the massive command ship, they saw the damage already done to Earth's defenses. Destroyed satellites and disabled defense platforms floated in space. Debris from both sides created a deadly field of obstacles. They docked with the Dracorian ship using a little-known maintenance port identified by Valkorian intelligence. The airlock cycled quietly. The team moved inside, weapons ready. The interior of the Dracorian ship was hot and dry, with dim red lighting and corridors that curved in strange angles. Valkorian intelligence had provided maps, but the layout was confusing. They encountered their first Dracorians, 2 guards patrolling a junction. The aliens stood 9 feet tall with armored exoskeletons and multiple eye clusters. They carried energy weapons nearly as large as a human. The twins moved with synchronized precision, disabling the guards before they could sound an alarm. The team continued deeper into the ship, following the path to the central communication hub. They disabled security systems, avoided patrols, and moved ever closer to their target. The twins proved invaluable, their dual heritage, allowing them to understand both human and Valkorian tactics, adapting them to the current situation. Finally, they reached the communication center, a massive chamber filled with Dracorian technicians monitoring battle operations. From here, the enemy coordinated their entire fleet attack. Orders, defense protocols all flowed through this room. Katie signaled the team. They would have seconds once they began their attack. The technicians were not soldiers, but there were many of them. The hub itself was protected by redundant systems that would need to be disabled simultaneously. Now, she ordered. The team burst into the room. The twins moved to the main control panels while the others secured the entrances. Dracorian technicians reacted with surprise, then anger, reaching for weapons. Katie and her human team members fired stun weapons, dropping several enemies. The Valkorian soldiers engaged others in hand-to-hand combat. One of the twins worked frantically at the main console. The Dracorian encryption is adapting, she called. I need more time. More enemy soldiers poured through the doorways. The team formed a defensive perimeter around the twins. Katie fired her weapon again and again, knowing they could not hold for long. The other twin shouted in triumph. I have accessed the command protocols redirecting fleet orders now. On the main display screen, they saw the effect of their work. Dracorian ships began moving in conflicting patterns. Some fired on empty space. Others turned away from Earth entirely. The carefully coordinated attack falling into disarray. Suddenly alarms blared throughout the ship. The Dracorians had discovered the intrusion. Override commands attempted to restore control. The twins worked faster, fingers flying over alien controls. We need to plant the disruptor and leave, Katie ordered. The device, a combined human-Valkorian technology, would permanently scramble the Dracorian communication systems. As one twin set the device, the other downloaded tactical data. The team began to withdraw, fighting their way back toward their ship. The corridors now filled with enemy soldiers, each step a battle. The twins fought alongside Katie, their movements fluid and precise. Years of training in both human and Valkorian combat styles, making them formidable warriors. They reached the airlock only to find it guarded by a squad of Dracorian elites, warriors twice the size of regular soldiers with advanced weapons. The team took cover as energy blasts scorched the walls around them. We need a distraction, Katie said. One of the Valkorian soldiers stepped forward. This is my purpose, he said. He charged the guards, drawing their fire, allowing the others to target weak points in their armor. The brave soldier fell, but the guards were defeated. The team boarded their ship and disengaged from the Dracorian vessel. As they pulled away, the disruptor activated. The command ship lights flickered, systems failed. Throughout the enemy fleet, ships lost coordination, firing randomly, or not at all. Some began to retreat back at the command center. Queen Zarlia watched as the Dracorian fleet fell into chaos. Reports came in from other strike teams. All had succeeded in their missions. The enemy now faced an opponent they could not understand. Human ingenuity, combined with Valkorian technology, had created tactics the Dracorians had never encountered. When the Dracorian commander finally sent a communication demanding to speak with Earth's leaders, both human and Valkorian representatives answered. The enemy faced not a conquered planet, but a united world. The Dracorian commander, a massive being with battle scars covering his exoskeleton, stared in disbelief at the human and Valkorian leaders standing together. You have corrupted yourselves, he growled. You have weakened your species by mixing with these humans. Queen Zarlia stepped forward. We have not weakened, we have evolved. We have learned that difference brings strength, not weakness. Our children carry the wisdom of two worlds. They see possibilities you cannot imagine. The Dracorian snarled. This is not over. We will return with a greater fleet. We will cleanse this abomination. The human president spoke. Then, you misunderstand. We are not asking you to accept defeat. We are offering you a choice. The same choice the Valkorians offered us years ago. Cooperation instead of conflict. You face a resource crisis on your homeworld. We know this from the data we recovered. Your people suffer while you pursue this war. We can help if you are willing to try a different path. The Dracorian commander fell silent, shocked by the offer. After long moments, he cut the transmission, but the attack did not resume. The enemy fleet remained.